Hard Rock Lunchbox.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Hard Rock Lunchbox. And of course, if you're watching on Strangerhood TV on YouTube, welcome to the top 20. It is probably pretty cold December 11th, 2025. Means we're getting to the end of this really crap year. With any luck, we'll be done with it soon and we'll all get out of it safely. Just full disclosure right now, I am in one of the worst moods I have been in quite some time. It has been one hell of a night and one hell of a morning, and I am feeling absolutely none of it, so yay for me. I am so distracted at this point, I don't even know what I would even talk about here, because everything is just going wrong, man. Like, is that something that's happening to other people out there, where things are just, like, piling up in the wrong direction? And it's like, I swear to God, like, I know people talk about, like, the universe and the way things work and all that other stuff, and, you know, bring in and ask for, you know, all that other stuff. And I've never really been able to have any sort of sway over that kind of thing. Like, I definitely know people that can do that, like make the universe work for them. I've watched my middle child just magically make things happen, but like, it seems like it comes with very little intention, and just the world is just unfolding for his benefit from time to time. And maybe that really does happen to everybody, and then we just sort of fail to notice when the miracle of just getting from point A to point B sort of seems like it should be something that's happening and not necessarily something that should be miraculous. But yet here we are. I feel like I'm just pulling in as much negative energy as possible, and I assure you, I entered into it with no negative energy of my own. For no reason whatsoever, I just did not sleep well again last night. It took a long time for me to fall asleep, which is not something that usually happens. And then, for whatever reason, I woke up super, super early, like way too early to be awake. And then spent like another hour just trying to fall back asleep, only to have to wake up to my alarm, which is probably the worst thing that I can ever start my day with. I'm sure a lot of people out there can understand that, or at least sympathize with that. And then immediately I came to work and had just an absolutely incredible, unbelievable, and practically unfixable disaster with a client that I had to spend 2 hours completely unexpectedly, and derailed everything else I was supposed to do today to try and fix, because something just didn't feel like working. To this point, I still don't know what it was. And I left it with, hey man, don't reboot your computer like until you're done for the day, because I can't fix it again. So it's just been one of those mornings. I mean, I know there are people that listen to this show that work in tech, so I feel like I'll get some sympathy points for that, for sure, when things just don't work because they just don't feel like working, and there's just too many variables that you have no control over, and poof, there they go. So that was my morning. That was pretty much all of my morning, which is just so bad, especially on top of a day when you just are behind the eight ball because you're just so tired and stuff like that. Like, there are definitely times like these where it's like, man, I feel like I need to get out of tech. But then I kind of look around and I don't know what else is much better. I mean, I was talking to my chiropractor just yesterday about how much, you know, there are times when we don't like our respective jobs, and I was asking if he had seen the movie Quicksilver, which was I want to say like a 90s movie. I don't even remember. Like, it seems like forever ago that I watched it. But it was a movie with Kevin Bacon where he was like a really good stockbroker, ended up losing his family fortune, or probably not fortune, but like his parents', you know, retirement or whatever. He lost it, and so he just quit and became a bike messenger, I think in New York City. And while the movie probably, it seems unremarkable in my head because I don't really remember anything about it, what struck me and what I've always remembered about the movie is that just I've so had it with this, so I'm going to do something completely different. And it is something that I've thought of over the years, where I've considered maybe how great it would be to be like a school bus driver. Like, you know, just something super simple. I remember when I was in college, I used to manage a Domino's pizza before they were I mean, when they were basically just pizza. Like, they didn't have all this other stuff that you could order. I think it probably would have been a much more entertaining job at that point, but it was just pizza. And I remember we used to have these dead periods. I worked at several stores on Long Island, some of the busiest and some of the least busiest. And I remember we used to have these dead times sometimes when I would work at the one in Smithtown. When I was I worked at Smithtown because I went to the University of New York at Stony Brook, which is basically just right around the corner. I had a choice of working at Setauket or Smithtown. Smithtown was close to my house, so I worked at that one. But there were definitely dead zones in there, and I remember thinking so many times how boring that job was. And because during those dead times, there's really nothing to do. You could prep as much as you want, but like when it was busy, it was great. It was awesome because you were just flying and doing all that other stuff. But during the dead times, I remember I would like do homework or just sit outside. Like, it was just not uncommon for me to be sitting out front just waiting for an order. Like, it may seem silly, but not a lot of people will order pizza at like 2:30 in the afternoon. So like you'll have like this dead zone between, kind of like a lunch rush and a dinner rush. And I remember I lost that job. I guess I lost it because I no longer had it, but it's not like I got fired or anything. It was back when, and they still have this, where you can have franchisees that owned their own stores. And the guy that I worked for owned 5 stores. He owned Smithtown, he owned East Northport, he owned Brentwood, Comac, and East Islip. And the last I'd heard, he was being chased by the police in Atlantic City in his Porsche, and then ended up making a wrong turn and driving down a pier, and then stopped before he drove into the Atlantic Ocean, and then was arrested immediately on the spot for resisting arrest and evading police. But the reason they were after him was like an incredible amount of tax evasion. I remember getting a call from one of the other stores, and they were like, you might want to cash out your paycheck. So I did that, and then finished my shift and then left. But then the next day it was all chained up and seized by the IRS and all that other fun stuff. But after that, like within a week, I had another job. One of the people that worked for me over there also worked for Roadway Package System, RPS, which is now FedEx Ground. So I got a job loading trucks, which had no downtime. There was no downtime ever loading trucks. And I remember thinking a couple weeks into that, I was like, man, I don't think I will ever feel bad about, like, I don't think I'll ever like be upset about feeling bored at work again. And I will tell you this, I don't think I have ever felt bored at work since that moment. Now, I was 19 when I was still assistant managing or both, actually, training at the Domino's, and I think that was the last time I was bored at work. And I do know people that in their life are bored at their jobs, and I can still sympathize in the sense that, like, it is awful just watching the clock tick till you can leave. Like, it just is. But there is a part of me that is so goddamn desperate for that situation for at least a little bit. Maybe if I could sprinkle it into my week somehow, like, that would be really good, because one of the things that I am dealing with that is just causing me unbelievable amount of strain, both physically, mentally, and probably subsequently emotionally, and psychologically, is this incredible amount of burnout I've been going through over the past. I kind of identify it as maybe the past year or two. But everybody around me, including all of my mental health professionals, seem to identify it as way longer than that. And I think the disconnect between me recognizing it being longer and they recognize it being longer is that I have just always subscribed to, if there's a job to do, you just do it, right? Which is, some people refer to it as the Puritan work ethics, or just work ethic in general. But it's just the way that I've always conducted myself. And as somebody that ran their own business and still runs their own business to a degree, there really is no end. Like, there's just always something to do, so there's always work to be done, so I'm always doing that level of work. But it is to the point now where I am just so completely burned out that I can't seem to even relax when I do have downtime. And the irony of all that is that with the ending of me coaching soccer, at least for the foreseeable future, as all of my players did finally graduate, I've received a bunch more free time from that allotment of time during the week. Now, it wasn't a lot of time I devoted to coaching soccer, but it was some. And when all of your time is basically spoken for, like any time at all is usually a really nice gift. And I've been utilizing that time, and I've been able to take some downtime where I'm absolutely doing nothing. Sometimes I'll even doom scroll, but I have learned over the past 6 months that I am absolutely incapable of converting that into any sort of relaxation. And the current theory on that is that because my level of burnout is so high, that there is absolutely no level of relaxation that can fix that in any sort of short-term period, which is just so upsetting and so depressing, and kind of leaves me with, what options are there? Like, am I really going to have to Quicksilver this kind of situation and like go get a job as a bike messenger? Something that has a start and an ending every day, like a real honest-to-God shift job, so like as soon as it's over, I don't have to think about it or worry about it anymore? Like, is that something that it's going to take? Do I have to do the Sid Arthur method and go sit in a cave for 8 years until I find enlightenment and turn myself into Buddha? I mean, I am gaining weight again because why not? Although I do know why that is. It definitely seems to be stress and weather related and motivation related, which is also just absolutely awesome. The simple fact that I can't motivate myself to do absolutely anything at all that I'm not completely obligated to do is just starting to push on my last nerve. I mean, it's to the point now where it's like, I don't even want to do this show, something I notably like doing. I have absolutely no desire to perform tomorrow night, something I have enjoyed doing my entire adult life. And it's coming up to the point where I don't even feel like getting up in the morning. And now I realize that seems like a depressive element to all my people that have dealt with mental health issues over the years. The problem is, it doesn't seem to be a depressive element for me, because my depression seems to be in check and under control and sort of well handled. This is a new level for me that is not just about depression. It is about disdain and sort of disgust for everything that I really have to do all the time, and I don't want to do any of it at all, and that is a brand new low for me. And I keep dealing in therapy and in my own personal life and personal discussions, like, where all this keeps coming from. And I think one of the problems that I'm dealing with, and others that I've spoke to are dealing with, is that there really is no end to the amount of dissatisfaction that seems to be coming a lot of people's ways these days. And yep, there's a lot of that out in the politics of the world. There is a lot of that out in the social aspect of the world. There is a lot of it in finance, your financial situations. There's a lot in work dissatisfaction. And when you pair all those things with this level of internal, it's not even turmoil. Like, it really is just like, I'm done. I'm just very done and tired of all of this. That you just absolutely lose any more steam to deal with any of the other stuff that's coming at you. And, as much as I try, like, I can't seem to get those things from coming at me. And I'm not special, even remotely, in that aspect. I think a lot of people deal with that. I think a lot of people go through their day and they're like, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this. But I think enough people that are on the, upper side of that kind of life dissatisfaction equation do have things that they enjoy enough that pulls them over there. Because, I think as long as you're hitting 51% on the satisfaction scale, like, that's better than not. And I'm just struggling to get there. Even the biggest problem that I'm facing right now is the things that I know for sure that I enjoy and have historically enjoyed, I'm deriving almost no joy from. And that is just rough. Even things that I feel like I'm enjoying, like, end up just sort of just turning into something that's, like, less enjoyable and less satisfactory. And I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I don't know what to prescribe to. I wouldn't know what to prescribe to anybody else coming to me with that sort of situation. I mean, I know the words to say, and I know that what's being said to me. It's like, you got to find something you enjoy more. Like my last therapy session, we talked about how sometimes I find these things that I really do enjoy for a short period of time, but because I am the way that I am, which I assume means full of addict behavior and some level of OCD, and now I have competing ADHD diagnoses because my psychiatrist doesn't think I have it, my psychologist does. So it's just like, I think when you're dealing with all of that, like there just seems to be no place to go, and there doesn't seem to be like any sort of thing in sight. Because like the idea of like, you should find yourself a hobby and don't burn yourself out on it so quick. It's like, I don't even know what that means. Like, cool, I like reading a book. Well, just limit it to like a half hour a week. Like that. And maybe that's the secret, because I certainly haven't tried it yet. But just like, I can't even express enough like how much I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do anything at all. And I have things coming up that I have to do. I have things coming up that I feel like I want to do, and yet the thought of doing them is just shy of repulsive to me. I don't know. I don't know how to keep going with that sort of thing. And I don't even know what a solid break would look like. Like I said, like, do I go find a cave for 8 years until I find enlightenment? Like, is that really the plan? Like, because that's a huge risk to everything that I'm trying to do in this world. But I have no idea what that's going to look like going forward. But I feel like I'm going to have to be cutting back on a lot of things. I know I'm trying to scale back as much as I possibly can that I don't absolutely have to do. And maybe that'll help. Maybe it won't. I am open to suggestions. So like when this video posts, not that, any more than 10 people seem to watch it anymore. Like if you have some ideas, post them in the comments. I'll get to them eventually, and maybe we'll just kind of, maybe somebody's got a really good idea out there that I just haven't heard yet. But because I am definitely in the market for a new idea. And with that, I think I'm just going to stop talking, because I am even sick of hearing my own voice, which is not something I expected to come to. But here we are. So anyway, we might as well get on to some local music. I got a brand new song from the band Devoted Fusion. They've been kind of on hiatus for a little bit. I have not listened to it yet, because I just totally remembered to pull it maybe 10 minutes ago, or 10 minutes before the show. So we're going to listen to it together, and then we can, decide what we think of that, and then we'll just get on with the rest of the show. And I'd say hopefully my mood is going to be better by the end of it, but probably not. But maybe I can just play some good music, and we can just kill a couple hours together. How's that sound? Good enough? All right, cool. The song is called In Ship, and like I said, it's Devoted Fusion.